All right, back to it. Honestly, I've actually not had this much time, well, from away from the camera anyway, for ever. Right, we're Gatwick Airport. It's a bit of a loathsome airport to fly from for me personally, because it's like 3 hours from where I live, which is mildly inconvenient. Anyway, we're going somewhere cool. Share that with you in a minute. All right, so we are on the road to Sardinia for the new Aston Martin Vanquish drive. First drive. We've done the walk and talk. That was very cool. And ever since I've walked and talked around said Vanquish, we're dying to get behind the wheel. The next few days are the days. 835 horsepower Super Grand Tourer. And I'm going to be taking you along for what that thing is like, because it's taking it and sticking it right to Ferrari, who have obviously recently launched 12 Culinary. Actually feels good to be back at it. There's something about being at home. I love it. Obviously, family, catch up, admin, work, etc. All of the really important stuff. But there's something about being on the road that really gets me back in the game. Albeit.
I mean, I know it's not.
I'm not convinced I made the right decision here, Yorkie.
It's like some weird American crossover.
I clearly must be having LA withdrawal symptoms because I ordered the Kentucky Fried Chicken with bacon, gravy, pancakes, and fried egg.
Gravy?
Well,
like beans?
Yeah, I like beans. You're not a fan of the beans? No. And you're straight on the greasy spoon.
I've already had one.
Well, this is your second. It's going to be a long day. It'll sort you out. This is a bad move, but right. I definitely won't need anything on the flight.
It's the gravy I'm not so sure about.
I'm about to find out if that's acceptable or not. I don't even know where to begin on this thing. What was I thinking? Gravy on bacon? Is that a thing?
Try it.
It needs to be, maybe it needs to be sweet gravy. But even that in itself sounds wrong. Okay.
Is it okay?
Kind of like Christmas.
Uh-oh.
It's like a Christmas taste. Thank you very much. Perfect.
Christmas breakfast. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, like a Christmas breakfast. Remarkably, when I was looking at the calorie count next to all of the items, this was less than that. Amazingly.
Talking of Christmas, can we just talk about where this year went?
Well, it's evaporated, hasn't it? No, this is good.
Crazy. It's like chicken.
That's fried chicken. I mean, they wouldn't sell it if it didn't work, would they?
No.
It's good. It's very Vegas, but it's good.
Vegas.
Yeah, I've ever wondered what the inside of an escalator looks like. That is it. There. Good time you're escaping this absolute dross of a October. It better be sunny over there, but if I land and it's peeing it down in an 835 horsepower, 1,000 Newton meter of torque, rear wheel drive Hyper GT, and it's raining,
No.
I'm gonna be pissed. Well, it's not that it's like, oh, boo-hoo, poor me. It's that you might as well have stayed at home and driven it in Gaydon. That's what I mean. Let's not forget they're made here, and yet we're flying to Italy to drive this great British car. So, anyway, if it's sunny, it'll be well worth it. It's actually amazing. We're really fortunate in the UK to have a load of really fantastic car brands on our doorstep. Bentley, Rolls-Royce, Aston Martin, McLaren, BAC, Morgan, Ariel, etc. Jaguar, Land Rover, and I've never been to a launch of any of these car brands in the UK. They always fly you like halfway around the world in order to drive the car, and I get it from a brand point of view. They're looking to immerse you in the brand experience, and from a weather point of view, imperative, particularly this time of year, as you've seen, to hopefully get some dry weather. But it's just funny that, you know, I could be within 2 hours, almost all of these brand factories, and just go and drive a car. Not complaining, it's just funny. All right. Seamless transition straight to this place. Ah, there we are. That's what we're looking for. How you doing? All right. Brilliant. Right, so since we last started filming the Uncut channel, and also a degree of transparency, I've had 2 whole weeks off of filming, which doesn't sound like a lot. In the world of YouTube, such is the hamster wheel of the algorithm, that it demands to be fed all the time. And then you start getting comments from the audience when you've been away 5 days, like, are you dead? I was like, no.
You come off Gumball. I think you're allowed a break.
I came off Gumball. It's pretty full on, man. Well, I came off the other side of it. I came out off the other side of it, like, actually sick.
I don't know.
But I was talking to someone, and they were telling me about these things called holidays. And I thought, I've heard of these. And I thought, do you know what? I'm going to give that a go.
Give it a go.
Yeah. Turns out, I'm a new man. It's really good. So I've come off the back of one of these holidays. And I feel revitalized, but now we're back in the game, as it were. And during my holiday, there's been some new metal launched. We've had a new GT3, 992 Gen 2 GT3. We've had a new Touring launched at the same time as a GT3, which is a first. And Ferrari dropped the F80, which is the spiritual successor to the LaFerrari. And there's been a lot of chat. There's been a lot of chat. I'm just going to start with the GT3s because it's a bit of a top line, easier cover.
Yeah. So
it's Gen 2, so it's a sort of mild facelift of the 992 GT3 platform, which means that platform, 992 generation, is pretty much halfway through its overall life cycle, right? And what they've done, interesting things, it's the first time that the offering of a wide ZAC pack has been available on a non-RS product, which is interesting, which probably tells you how seriously they're taking track performance on the non-RS platform, just on a standard GT3. Tying in with that, brand new seats. Now, it's been a while since we've seen an entirely new seat aesthetic. Interestingly, I was speaking to someone from Manthai, and they were saying one of the big contributions to getting more performance out of yourself as a driver, particularly when they're going for lap times, you'll notice they swap out the standard bucket seat and they put in like a Sparco full wraparound bucket. And as track focused as an RS bucket seat looks, actually when you're at that speed, it needs to be a little bit more sort of wrapped around your core. And these new buckets, to my eyes at least, look a little bit more dished.
With the little detachable.
Yeah, that's quite cool. Cool thing. So we've got new, more purposeful seats. Speaking of seats, in the Touring, which is launched at the same time as the GT3, which, as I mentioned, is the first time that's happened, there's the option of back seats. Now, I think this is a much bigger proposition than you might think, because I know the back seats available in the GTS, for example. But historically, I might be the only petrol head on earth that have thought that the Touring is a bit of a cop-out, because it didn't tour any better than a D-winged GT3.
You always go on about it.
I always go on about it. I'm like, why is that why does it tour? Why is it touring? Take the wing off your GT3. It doesn't tour any better at all. Why does it tour better? It doesn't, right? However, does now. Back seats. Folding as well. You got that little storage bench there. The thing that I think would really, and it would be like the unicorn car of all platforms, right?
Hit them with it.
Hit them with it. On the 997 generation Gen 1 Targa, the rear window used to fold up like a boot, right? So imagine gaining the access of glass that opens in the back of a 911.
Which way did it go? Did it go that way?
That way.
That way?
No, that way. And it went up like a normal boot, right? And then you could go around the back and plunk bags in the back, right? Now imagine that together with folding back seats.
Why they don't do it?
I don't know why they don't.
There must be a reason.
Maybe road homologation or something. I have no idea. They've also done something on the GT3 where they have shortened the gear ratios by 8%, which, if you spend a lot of time in a GT3, sometimes you'd be forgiven for thinking in certain scenarios they could feel a little bit long geared. So I'd be really interested in trying that on the 992 Gen 2 GT3, see what that feels like.
The ST, they said. Is that right?
It's a bit more like the ST. I mean, for example, it's got the suspension links, which are positioned lower from the GT3 RS, which is cool. So they're starting to take all of these little bits of DNA and sprinkling it throughout. So that's cool. Weirdly, though, despite all of those light touches, it's $53,000 more than the previous generation GT3. That to me is unexplainable. I mean,
30,000 miles.
30 grand. 30 grand.
That's a big jump.
But all of those things that I just mentioned to you are additional on top of that. That does not they don't come within that 30 grand. No.
Oh.
Lyzac's optional.
Oh, of course.
Backseat's optional.
Yeah.
The shorter gear ratios, to be fair, they
okay.
come as part of it. That's an interesting driving situation. But everything else, yeah, that is all on top of another 30 grand just off
Isn't
the
there
bat.
another pack for the touring called the
Leichtbau.
Yeah.
Leichtbau.
Something. What does that give you? Carbon.
Yes. Just
All the carbon.
all the carbons. With options, it could be
Whoa.
easy. Yeah, for sure. So anyway, those two cars, very cool, proven formula. Backseat's great. Price jumps a little bit sketchy, but all around thumbs up. Ferrari F80.
The Lego Technics car.
So I found something interesting that might perhaps be the most indicative barometer as to the interest or lack thereof of this new hypercar, in that Top Gear published one of the first videos to go out.
Yeah.
Right?
Watched it.
This is a once in a decade class-leading hypercar category from the brand that arguably defined the genre.
Yes.
And in 2 days, it had done 750,000 views. Now, 750,000 views on most bits of content is okay. Let's not forget, this is one of the world's leading automotive publications, 10 million subscribers, right? And this is Ferrari's numero uno, LaFerrari successor hypercar, right? I'm thinking, okay, of all of the opinion as to they've dropped the V12 in favor of a V6, their justification for that is that their Formula One cars and their World Endurance Championship cars, of which have been incredibly successful, are running a V6 hybrid engine, which is true and which is fine. However, this car is not a race car, it's a road car. And road cars are purchased with the heart, not with the mind. And heart requires V12 to pull at the heartstrings, and this is lacking 6 of them. It's like they fired half the orchestra, right? And as a result, the sound
is half as good.
And the emotional connection of that V12 flagship, and let's face it, as dynamically fantastic as the Ferrari was, one of the big reasons that it came out on top as part of the Holy Trinity 10 years ago was the fact that it had a high revving naturally aspirated V12 in, whereas the 918 had a V8 and the P1 had a turbocharged V8. It stood in its own class and it sounded phenomenal. This thing, aesthetics are subjective, but I actually put a poll out on YouTube, and it's not looking great. Not looking great for them. The third question on the poll was, "But V6 really?" ? And that was disproportionately the button that everyone clicked over the aesthetics, etc.
People are just not interested.
People aren't interested. The other thing is the price.
It's unobtainium.
It is unobtainium. Now, let's just talk about this, right? When the LaFerrari launched 10 years ago, it was shy of 1 million. It was 900,000, right?
Yeah.
Which even 10 years ago, it was punchy. But we haven't compounded that much to make this a 3.1 million sterling car, sir, before options.
Before options?
Before options.
So it's a £4 million car.
These will push it.
Plus tax.
If you go through TaylorMade, which, let's face it, most of the demographic that this appeals to, this will be going full atelier, TaylorMade options. These are going to punch super hard. Now, for me, it's not always been about the demographic that can afford that sort of thing. It's been about the market having room for growth in the value of that product.
Yeah.
Now, 799 coupes are to be made, and there's rumours that there could be a further 200 Apertas being made. That hasn't been confirmed. But the numbers of their flagship hypercar LaFerrari successor are currently the same as the F12 TDF. Right? They're making 200 more units than a McLaren Senna.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, this has gone from unicorn territory to just a very, very expensive supercar.
Yeah.
Now, all of the sort of value around this has gone into, but it's got really fancy, very trick F1 inspired aero. cool, but they're not selling it as a track car. So what's the point in having all of this
When are you
aero
going to use that aero?
when you might as well buy a 499p, which is the Le Mans car with the Le Mans car engine in it, and you put it in your flipping flagship car. It's awesome seeing one in a different colour. I've only ever been one, the red one, which launched. These look so good.
The white and blue one.
I mean, classic Bond silver. That's mega. What a machine. It's going to be a good few days, Yorkie.
Okay, guys.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, mate.
Appreciate that. Hello. How you doing? Oh, this is going to be a good few days. That, I take it like that. Just classic. Crikey, these are so good looking. Oh, I'm excited.
And Walker. Good specs.
Thank you. I appreciate that, buddy.
Great glass, great watch.
Nice watch.
Thank you, sir.
Good get up, man. Appreciate that.
Okay, guys.
Thanks.
Have a good day.
Thank you,
I
bye.
didn't notice that last time. The V12 on there in red.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful car.
It is absolutely sensational. Look, did you just hear that? An Italian said that an Aston's a beautiful car. He knows. He knows. Crikey. Dude, that is sensational.
They look different out in the wild.
They look better out in the wild. That's so cool. So this, speaking of
massive.
Ferrari earlier, this is going up against the 12 cylindry.
Which would you have?
Well, I've not driven the 12 cylindry. One thing that Ferrari do incredibly well is the relationship, the marriage between the transmission and the engine. That drivetrain sort of marriage is just unbelievable. And so they have a twin clutch box on a naturally aspirated V12. This is more of a conventional auto sort of torque converter box on a twin turbocharged V12. This has more horsepower, 835 of it, and 1,000 Newton meters of torque. It's going to be really interesting. I'm told that there is a recalibration of the software on the gearbox, so it's similar to a DB12 box, but recalibrated to be a bit snappier. So it's going to be really interesting to see if they've done the magic on these things. Let's not forget, it is a hyper or super Grand Tourer, so it's not designed to be the last word in lap times, but I'm really interested to see what it's like slowing down from high speeds under heavy braking, working your way down the box. That's the only time that more conventional sort of torque converter autos sort of raise their heads versus the twin clutch that you might find in the 12C. So it's one thing for sure. I was saying earlier that aesthetics are subjective, but in my subjective view, these look better than the 12 cylindry. And we are in the room. Check this out. Very Italian, very cool, very Aston. No normal key card holder for the room. This is a Bottega Veneta, made in Italy card holder for, and if I just pull this out, Vanquish room card key. Nice touch. Now, it's become somewhat of a ritual to show you around the various rooms that Aston Martin and various other brands have put us in over the years. But the highlight's always the goodie bag, which we never want to assume is going to be in the room. But Aston, they kill the merch. They just do such a good job of it. So, let's see. Top line, what's going on. Thrilled to welcome you to Sardinia for the global media drive of the new Aston Martin Vanquish. 5.2 litre twin turbo V12. Phenomenal. Embargo, 28th of October. Gives me, by the time I finished, 6 days to turn the edit around for your eyeballs, which is actually plenty. What have we got? What is this? I don't know what that is, but I shall open that shortly when I've got a hand spare because it's really sticky. Aston Martin towel, rather splendid. Look at that. That's cool. And a nice little sort of beach bag style thing going on here. Brilliant. I'm going to open this. I'm not sure. I'm going for a photo. That's what I'm going for. All right, let's look. Oh, very cool. Way cooler than a photo. 82 of 90 prints of the new Vanquish in Portocervo. Highly cool. Thank you very much, Aston Martin. Nail it every time. And now for the view. Yeah, traditional, old school Italian. This place is stunning. So yes, next few days, first drive review officially of the new Aston Martin Vanquish. As I just touched on, there is an embargo for that. I need to confirm when that is actually. Looked like midnight on the 28th. Don't ask me why the embargoes are at midnight still. I think it was something to do historically with print media, but now it's upsetting all of the digital media publications, which even print media are still now have their own digital media outlets. So I'm not sure why they put an embargo time of midnight when no one's audience is awake. Anyway, I'm going to drive that car first, and then we're going to also do uncut as much as we can, take you along for the ride, because we haven't been doing it for the last 2 weeks, because I mentioned I was on one of these holiday things. Sadly, it wasn't in a location like this, but still took some time off. Anyway, that'll probably do for this episode. I now have to change, and I think I'm having a product briefing. If I am, I'll stick it on this edit.